everyone. Good morning. Thanks a lot to Professor Ashok for organizing this wonderful event, and thanks for inviting me. Happy all of you are here to listen to what I want to say. So this talk is actually going to be very, very different from the previous two, where there was quite a strong aspect of technology in it. Some people would maybe call this education technology, but I'm not a big fan of that term. I'll simply say education, right? So I'm going to talk about education, a topic all of you here, I'm assuming, are quite intimately familiar with. You've gone through school, you've gone through college. I'm going to talk about higher education. School education is definitely not something I've done anything in. So higher education is what I'm going to talk about. I'll talk about how to make it universal, not just in terms of coverage, just reduce the cost of the degree and make everyone get a degree. That's not what I'm here for. I would like to talk about, having universal higher education with quality. What is this problem? In fact, I'm not sure if people have seen data about the state of higher education in the country, where we are, what we should focus on, and I hope I can bring up some of these topics into your minds for discussion. Okay, so let me get started. My talk will roughly have these three parts: where we are now, where do we want to go in 2047, and how do we get there. In fact, I have a bit of a recipe, my own recipe for why I think we should do this. I'll talk about that as well. So if you want to look at numbers, I think we have a problem at a staggering scale. Okay, so if you look at class 8, this is from pretty good government survey data from UD's Plus, it's called. 215 lakh kids come out of standard 8. By the time you come to UG admission, it's around 80 to 85 lakhs. Okay, so this number, there's this huge fall, and GER enrollment is about 25-30%. And not only that, I want you to look at the split up of the degrees a bit more closely, right? Most of us in engineering think there are too many engineering colleges, right? Look at the engineering degree is just a small piece of the pie. More than 60 lakh get into BA, BSc, BCom every year in this country. So that's just the 85 who are actually in college. What about the 130 which are not in college? If you want to get anywhere near quote-unquote universal higher education, you really need a problem that needs to be solved at very, very high scale and with quality. And in fact, I believe we need to really reimagine this undergraduate education in the country. What is it needed for? What will it lead to? How do we make sure that this big segment is going to come into college? In fact, if you ask yourself, why are people not going to college, right? So I think the answer varies a lot depending on where you are in the country. A typical, very strong reason cutting across everywhere is financial, of course, right? So people have to work to support their family. And number two, also, many people don't do well in school, right? They struggle to pass through school. If you're struggling to pass through school, why would you go to college and, struggle further? So these are common reasons, and one can go into great detail there. But nevertheless, let's even think about going from 85 lakhs to 150 lakhs, or even within the 85 lakhs, how do you make sure that their education is meaningful and they get a job out of it, right? So there's huge challenges of scale in this problem. Okay, so when I'm going to give this talk, I did a bit of a survey. NPTEL and SWAYAM, for which I work, we are connected to colleges across the country, so we tapped into that resource and we sampled 11,000 plus arts science students and asked them, what are you going to do after graduation, right? And this is a very, I think, at least I was quite surprised at looking at this, and not that I didn't know it, but just the scale of it and how different it is from a typical engineering college, or definitely from an IIT, for instance. The largest fraction is going to try for a government job. After college, you're going to go write the Group 4 exam and hope that you pass that and get into a government job. One more exam after college. That's what you're hoping to do. The next fraction is higher studies. Usually this is MA, MCom, MSc. That seems to be very much in the cards. Then IT. Then there's bank job. In fact, then there's I don't know. Okay. So out of this 11,000, 4,000 were about in the final year, and only about 364 said they already had a job. This is already March. They're graduating in a couple of months. Okay, so just the staggering, impact of this number, and look at the varied goals of the largest majority getting into college. This is not what an IITian thinks of when they come into IIT. It's very, very different for someone sitting here to even conceptualize what we should do to solve this problem in scale. Okay, so given that, what should our goals be, right? So let's say 2047, 25 years, the only thing I can be sure of is I will be, if I live, about 70 years old at that time. Nothing more one can be sure of. In spite of that, let me make some predictions, right? So let's say we aim for a 70% GER, 80% GER by 2047. I think most advanced countries are at that level. We won't go beyond that. There's no need to go beyond that. That's already like some staggering 200 lakh into the system, okay? It's not clear how to even, to do anything about it. That's number one. But is mere enrollment sufficient? You'll see a lot of policy where so many people will try to reduce the cost. Just increase enrollment, right? I don't care about anything else. I only have to report GER to the UN. I don't care about whether they graduate, whether they get any job. So that's not, I think, a meaningful place to take technology to, right? We should do something interesting. And I think the second point is also something I would like to emphasize. This is across the board, from the top institutes down to the bottom. Are students happy in college? Are they learning? Are they excited? Are they opening their minds into this millions of possibilities? Are they meeting people from across the country, across the world? Is their mind really being exposed to everything that's out there in the world? That's, I think most of you will know how that works, right? So it's not really so strong today in our country. So that's another significant problem. Finally, are they skilled graduates? Are they coming out eager to join the economic workforce? Are they coming out eager to do research, get into higher studies? So these are answers that we have to look for. In fact, you can't even find data for the vast majority to claim, convincingly prove any of these things. For the 60 lakh who are joining BA, BSc, BCom every year, very little data is available on what is really happening to them. It's very, very surprising. Okay, so let's say we take on this goal. We have this really, really ambitious target. How do we go about it? Okay, so here is my solution based on whatever it is that I have done in the past 6-7 years. Of course, there are hundreds of ways to tackle this problem. There's no unique way to get from where we are to here, but I hope you all agree that we have to get here, right? So this is a good vision for us to have. How do you think we can do it? I think we have to use the digital mode. I don't want to say online, because I don't think we should do purely online, but there has to be some sort of a digital mode intervention here if we have to go anywhere near the scale that we need. Okay, do we know digital mode well? In fact, from IITM, I can say we know it quite well. Okay, we have this SWAYAM program that we run, lakhs and lakhs of students we handle in a very, very reasonably good way. We have recently started this BSc program where we handle tens of thousands of students. These students can finish a degree program in digital mode, become alums of IIT Madras. We're willing to go that far. So that's how confident we are about this digital mode. But really, to get to the scale of 210 lakh, we have to be masters of this mode, right? It's not enough to experiment, to try different things. We should be masters of this mode. And that's where I think we need to go if we have any hope of addressing this large-scale challenge with quality. Okay, so here's my next two slides. Completely prediction-oriented. I'm not sure if this is the best way to go about it, but if it were up to me, I would try this. Okay, this is what I would do in the near term. About 10 years, let's say 25 is too long. I would say in the next 10 years, the top institutes in the country, the 100 or the 150 top institutes in the country should be encouraged, urged, forced, I don't know what to do, but increase their numbers of UG research to undergraduate students. This is undergraduate education, large-scale education. And very, very important to coexist with the traditional system. There's this huge infrastructure in place, small towns. You go there, there are dedicated education societies which run great colleges. So we have to tap into that resource to at least solve the access problem. There's a huge digital divide. To solve the access problem, you need their help. And this is something we can do, I believe. I've traveled from Bidar to, parts of Gujarat, Punjab, in the Northeast. There are dedicated people everywhere who will help you solve the access problem. So in fact, this digital university, I believe, should be an umbrella. People are still talking about what it should be. It should be an umbrella which blesses these, this digital mode education from the top institutes and allows students to come in and do multidisciplinary mix and match courses, right? I can do a course from some part of a law program, some part of an engineering program. Why not? I can become an IP lawyer after that. Who knows, right? So it's really, really exciting. All these possibilities exist. But what do we do in the long run? Okay, so here is where I'm going to say we should build campuses for these digital universities. We should slowly cycle back into the physical world, bring all these students in, In fact, I put some really, some sort of a daydream sort of situation there. We should build a university smart city. Let's talk of smart cities. You've heard of these university towns. You go to Europe and US is a very common, fantastic places. This energy of the place is amazing. We can do university smart cities. Why not? Build back a campus which is tuned to a digital university. I think this is really, really possible. You're not going to be wasting money on it. It's built into the city, integrated with the town. It works really, really well. So in fact, let me shamelessly share one of my daydreaming, fantasies out there. I would really like large state schools. And in my own state of Tamil Nadu, there are 4 famous dynasties. You should have one in Kanchi, Thanjai, Madurai, Kovai. After the 4 famous dynasties, huge schools, 50,000 students, 100 faculty. They compete with each other in sports. I don't know, if you go to the US, there are these state schools. They call themselves something. The sports team is called something. They have these huge parties where they compete with each other. I think we should have that energy, right? Shouldn't we have that large undergraduate energy that you have from a state school in the US? I think this is possible in 2047 if we get there. It would be really, really amazing. And I believe with this kind of an approach, at least I think there's a hope of solving this problem.